I'm not running around pretending I'm natural, because we all know I'm not. It's all fake. Anyone can look like this if they want to. I got my lips done firstly when I was 18. I got it done because I hated my lips. I was like kind of shocked at how much better I felt.
Social media influencer Mitch Greer started her cosmetic injectables journey with dermal filler, a gel-like substance that adds volume and definition.
I've had filler in my cheekbones, I've had filler in the apples of my cheeks, I've had filler in my under eyes, I've had filler in my chin.
Mitch also gets regular injections of botox, a toxin that relaxes muscles.
It was like something you heard about in Hollywood. Now, like in the suburbs of Sydney, like everyone's doing it.
It's become so common that getting botox or dermal filler can be as easy as going to your local shopping centre. Experts and consumers have told a 7:30 investigation that risks, while rare, are poorly understood.
It's not Coles, you know, it's not. You need to spend money if you want to look good, and you need to be safe.
So you got the re-report, yeah? I think the important thing is for this to be understood as a medical treatment. It is not getting your nails done.
I can hear and feel crunching noises when I blink. It's absolutely disgusting, and it echoes into my nose and into my ears.
I can understand why as well.
Yeah.
Lisa Grove has travelled from the US to Melbourne to have her filler dissolved by radiologist Mobin Master. She started getting cosmetic injections after cancer surgery.
The transplanted skin does not match up in height. There's actually a significant height difference. And so it was actually recommended to me to get filler.
Lisa liked the results until a disastrous appointment almost a year ago.
While I was still in her chair, and my face exploded out in all which directions. I was absolutely unrecognizable even to myself.
So it should be around there, there should be some stuff around there.
Dr. Master uses MRI and ultrasound to find and reverse past treatments. He can see there's filler behind Lisa's eye.
Look up, yep, that's below globe. There you go, there it is, there it is, there it is.
He's using an agent to try to dissolve the substance.
Okay, keep very still for me. How does it feel now?
I'm not feeling the crunching, and it doesn't feel like a rock under the right eye anymore.
I get chronic issues every week. 50% of my work is reversals. Often a lot of these injectors are not aware on how to dissolve, or they don't have the expertise.
Risks from injectable procedures range from cosmetic to acute.
If you inject accidentally into a vessel and that vessel gets plugged up by the filler, then everything upstream of that vessel is now no longer able to get oxygen. Then the skin, beyond that blocked point has a very critical period of time, usually 24 to 48 hours before it starts dying. And there is a very rare but real risk of blindness from that.
The Therapeutic Goods Administration told 7:30 it's received 12 reports of blindness related to dermal filler over more than a decade. Only 3 of those patients fully recovered their vision. In the same time frame, there's been 25 reports of necrosis, the death of skin tissue.
Consumers are sold the lie that it's no big deal.
Hi, Cynthia. Come on through. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Come on in.
I think it's really, really important to look at the qualifications of the person that you are going to.
Let's do some baseline photos. Sure. See how we're going since the...
Doctors, nurses and dentists can legally perform cosmetic injections, but there's no specific training required before they pick up a needle. No single body regulates the industry. But the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency told 7:30 it's investigating 255 complaints related to cosmetic practice, including surgery.
Just about anyone with basic qualifications, i.e. they're an upper registered nurse, doctor or dentist, can do a day or 2 days or a week-long boot camp and then essentially set up shop. This is not something that any of us should be taking lightly.
I started getting injectables at 18, so I would look on girls on Instagram and who had perfect skin, perfect looks, and I was like, I want to look like that. Honestly, I had no thought into it. I just went to any clinic, whatever clinic there was that was doing lips at the time.
Marissa Batty has been getting fillers for 8 years, moving between clinics around Sydney.
I went into a clinic to get lip fillers, and a couple of hours later, it bruised up and started to swell. Looking in the mirror, I remember thinking, like, what is going on? No, it was really confronting.
She messaged an acquaintance for help, Larissa Danoon, who works at a different clinic.
I was pretty switched on to figure out it was probably a vascular occlusion. Marissa then came into my clinic. We ended up dissolving the area and then continually monitoring. She's very lucky because it was at the early stages of it, but if it had been left for, a couple of days, it would most likely have ended up in a bit of an ugly scar or necrosis even. We can tell that the skin is very healthy now.
The registered nurse says the industry and clients' expectations have drastically changed over the past decade.
I think if there is not a lot of responsibility put on the practitioners as well as the patient, that it's going to probably get to a stage where it's a bit scary.
It's a shift largely driven by social media.
We are all vulnerable to this marketing.
Social media analyst Madison Johnston has made it her business to hold the industry accountable to advertising standards. She says the rules are routinely breached without consequence.
Those who advertise a regulated health service are actually obliged to not underrepresent the risks and not minimise the risks. And I would argue that by not stipulating what the risks are of a cosmetic procedure, they are underrepresenting it.
The Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency announced a blitz on cosmetic surgery advertising last year. Chief Executive Martin Fletcher told 730 the agency's expanding its focus to include injectables.
We are actively looking at examples, particularly for people who are prolific in using social media and advertising, to make sure that they are compliant with the requirements under our guidelines. There are certainly many legitimate people involved in this industry and legitimate businesses, but there are also examples of businesses where we believe people appear to be putting profit over patient safety. So those people, particularly registered health practitioners, so we're talking about doctors, we're talking about nurses, we're talking in some circumstances about dental practitioners, should be on notice that we are keeping a very close eye on this.
It's not just fun, it's not a beauty service, it's not a makeup treatment. It can be serious and there's real repercussions if, when things go wrong and are not dealt with. If we just go through this area.
Marissa's scare didn't turn her off injectables, but it has motivated her to talk about the risks.
I remember looking in the mirror every day thinking I went into a clinic to feel better and I actually came out feeling so much worse. But luckily I was one of the lucky people to actually have it fixed.